AITA for asking my 30F partner to tone down his 40M emotional reactions because it triggers me? So my partner is a very expressive person. He's the type who is transparent about his emotions, and I appreciate that honesty. I never have to guess what he's feeling or thinking. But the downside is he often lets his emotions fly, particularly bursts of anger. These outbursts aren't directed at me and don't last long. He'll just rant about something or someone that upset him. He never crosses any serious lines, like breaking things or being aggressively confrontational, but he can get snappy or rude. It's how he processes emotions, by venting for a few minutes and then moving on. Here's where it gets tricky for me. I grew up in a household with severe anger issues. My father crossed lines all the time. Verbal abuse, yelling, and creating an environment where I had to walk on eggshells constantly. I learned to anticipate moods to avoid being berated. As a result, even minor signs of anger, like my partner's outbursts, send me into fight or flight mode. My body tenses, I shut down, and I sometimes feel physically sick. I've talked to him about how his anger, even when it's not directed at me, triggers these responses. He initially made an effort to tone things down, and I worked on reminding myself that he's not my father and that I'm safe now. For a while, it felt like we were meeting halfway, but recently he's expressed that he feels stifled and unable to be himself. From his perspective, he's not doing anything wrong, so he feels it's unfair to have to curb his natural reactions. I understand where he's coming from, but I also feel there's room for compromise. I want him to feel comfortable expressing his emotions, but I don't want to feel on edge in my own home. For context, a typical example of his anger might be him yelling at another driver during traffic, swearing, having a full-blown tantrum, and then acting as if nothing happened 10 minutes later. It's harmless in his eyes, but it leaves me tense and uneasy. So, AITA for asking him to tone things down a little for my sake? Or is he right that I'm being unreasonable?